The New Age movement that spread through the occult and metaphysical religious communities in the 1970s and 80s. It looked forward to a new age of love and light and offered a foretaste of the coming era through personal transformation and healing. The movement's strongest supporters were followers of modern esotericism, a religious perspective that is based on the acquisition of mystical knowledge and has been popular in the West since the 2nd century AD, especially in the form of Gnosticism. Ancient Gnosticism was succeeded by various esoteric movements through the centuries, including ritual magic in the 19th and 20th centuries. In the 1940s, Alice A. Bailey, founder of the Arcane School, an organization that disseminated spiritual teachings, suggested that a new Messiah, the Master Maitreya, would appear in the last quarter of the 20th century. Bailey also established the Triangles program to bring people together in groups of 3 to meditate daily. Participants in the program believed that they received divine energy which they shared with those around them, thus raising the general level of spiritual awareness. While esotericism grew, the major representative theosophy suffered significant setbacks. In the 1880s, Blavatsky was accused of faking miraculous events associated with her contact with the Ascended Masters. In the early 20th century, the Theosophical Society was hurt again, this time by a series of sex scandals involving its leaders. The peasant was personally embarrassed by the defection of Krishnamurti in 1929. Nonetheless, the society was a significant catalyst in promoting public acceptance of the notion of psychic reality, and conducted a program to raise awareness of other religious traditions among its members and the predominantly Christian general public. Realizing the New Age. Traditional occult practices like tarot reading, astrology, yoga, meditation techniques, and mediumship were integrated into the movement as tools to assist personal transformation. Transpersonal psychology, an approach combining Eastern mysticism and Western rationalism to understand psychological health and spiritual well-being, and other new academic disciplines that study states of consciousness, encourage the belief that consciousness-altering practices, such as Zen meditation, could be practiced apart from the particular contexts in which they originated. Moreover, many other techniques used to achieve personal transformation were enlisted in the effort to bring about planetary healing and societal transformation. The movement also spoke to the sick and psychologically wounded, especially those who had been unable to find help through traditional medicine and psychotherapy. And this is exactly the problem. The New Age movement very often lures in the traumatized. Trauma changes the brain. People will seek some kind of feel-good teachings, and that's where they turn to the New Age movement. aligning themselves with the holistic health movement, which advocated alternative and natural healing practices such as massage, natural food diets, chiropractic, and acupuncture. Believers in the New Age promoted spiritual healing. They also sought the integration of older divinatory practices like astrology, tarot, and I Ching with standard psychological counseling. So it is extremely eclectic. There are so many things that are integrated under the umbrella of the term New Age, even massage, even natural food diets. And this is where it comes in, veganism. Veganism is a very big part of the New Age movement because they believe in awakening, and then they believe that low frequency food will block you from being awakened. So they move towards veganism and even fruitarianism. The saying goes that fruitarianism is the highest frequency food, but that's all bullshit. You will just ruin your health by following these practices. And this is what this channel is about. I have fallen into that trap. I have believed this shit. And then, yeah, the result was massive health issues. Now I am back to meat eating. It's actually the plants that are toxic. It's not the meat. And all that talk about awakening. Well, if you eat meat, your body gets what it needs. And that's how awakening happens. You have a crystal clear mind. You are no longer brain fogged. Your digestion functions properly the way it should. Our species is designed to eat meat. Meat is the species appropriate food. And I call this enlightenment. Or you can also call it liberation from all those false beliefs. Meat is very important. This is how our brain started to grow. The New Age people always brag about their psychic powers. Some introduce themselves with a long list. The clairs, so clear vision, clear hearing, clear feeling, all those. And they think they are so special. So out of curiosity, I just look up what actually can cause hallucinations. That would be clear vision. New Agers always try to put names onto things so to make it sound better. So, Alzheimer's. Interesting. Some people say that Alzheimer's actually is diabetes type 3. And why is it caused? Carb overload, insulin resistance. Then of course you have the drugs and alcohol. Everybody knows that LSD can give you hallucinations. Many New Age people also smoke weed. Delirium. But then you have the stress. If you are a vegan or even fruitarian, your body will be totally stressed because you are starving yourself. Your body doesn't get what it needs. Then we have, of course, the mental illness, schizophrenia, bipolar, and post-traumatic stress disorder. As I said, in the New Age movement, you have many people who have experienced some kind of trauma, who have actual PTSD, and their brain is already changed. And then there are the migrainers. But I must say, well, I had some hallucinations, but not many. And it happened when I felt stressed. And it was spontaneous. Not through meditation. Then of course you have medication. I'm not getting into that. But then there are sleep problems and thyroid disease. If you are a vegan, you very likely will sooner or later develop a thyroid disease because you eat a lot of soy products. Soy will fuck up your thyroid. And then there is the sugar link. You have the fruit sugar from fruits, of course, but then so many vegans consume a high sugar diet to compensate. And this will lead to depression, sometimes schizophrenia. Refined sugar intake could exert a toxic effect on mental health. First, sugar actually suppresses activity of a key growth hormone in the brain called BDNF. This hormone promotes the health and maintenance of neurons in the brain, and it plays a vital role in memory function by triggering the growth of new connections between neurons. BDNF levels are critically low in both depression and schizophrenia, which explains why both syndromes often lead to shrinkage of key brain regions over time. Yes, chronic depression actually leads to brain damage. And what do we hear from vegans? They are depressed. I was too. 1 month into carnivore, and depression was gone. Then you have the chemical reactions that promote chronic inflammation. It's all connected. Just saying. Then there is the fructose from fruit. It's found in fruit and vegetables. It is metabolized by the liver. 100%. And this is what I said about insulin resistance. You can develop non-fatty liver disease. Insulin resistance eventually continues to develop into type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome. And I think the Alzheimer's possibly is connected to that as well. That's a good question. We talk of carnivore zen in the carnivore community, and you see that we are laid back. We don't go crazy about stuff, whereas the carb-loaded, sugar-loaded people, they can go nuts for no reason at all about small things. And vegans who are starved, even more so, and they can get highly aggressive. So again, it's the meat-based diet that will heal your brain, give you overall health, and not fruitarianism nor veganism.